Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. No opening meme today because we're doing a story time because it's been too long because I can't remember when we did this last. So today we're doing some stories about people having very bright moments. And as much as I like to say we all have moments where we're just not thinking and saying or doing stupid things, I think this is maybe on another level than the average person. But let's check it out, shall we? But before we do, y'all need to get hydrated. So grab some water, or some tea, or whatever else you like to drink, and then we'll continue. Are you hydrated? Good. Let's go. Kevina doesn't know about autumn. I'm currently training to be a gardener, and I'm in a class with the real Kevina. I could tell many stories, and I kind of feel bad for her sometimes because she has a hard time understanding basic things, and apparently was never taught the most basic things. She's basically on an intellectual level of a 12-year-old while she is actually 26. One day, 8 months into the course, while revisiting all the material we had learned for the final exam of that year with our teacher, she asked out of the blue why all the trees lost their leaves in the winter and had to be felled. Turns out that by that time she had never understood that some trees drop their leaves in winter and grow new ones in spring. We were obviously taught as much, and she seemed to confuse pruning with cutting down a whole tree. We had a whole exam about all the possible ways to prune trees. There are more examples of her not understanding basic concepts even after hours and hours of our teachers explaining them to us, but that one left me speechless. Yeah, okay, in that case I really do have to wonder, because this is really something most children, like, of course you go outside at all times during the year and then you see that the trees change. And either your teachers just tell you, or your parents tell you, or you just like ask someone about it. Like, honestly, I do think that maybe we should make fun of this one because it feels like she really just has a learning disability. Like, this doesn't just seem like normal, a person who seems to have somehow missed so many things. This seems a little bit different, actually, because, yeah, how do you not know anything? You know, Dr. Sun doesn't understand diseases. I was in high school during the start of the AIDS scare. I was the one most students asked for advice on random science issues. So one day, my friend who is the son of a doctor asked me, if you have AIDS and you have sex with a girl who doesn't have AIDS, then some of the AIDS leaves your body. So if you do that enough, you can cure yourself of AIDS. I tried explaining how diseases work, how viruses multiply inside the body, and how jacking into a toilet removes the same amount of AIDS, or any other virus, from your body as having sex, but he didn't seem convinced. He also was at the time considering studying medicine and had exam results in the range to make that possible. He scored higher than me in the science exam, which was partly because I wanted to study computer science at university, and knew that I didn't have to try hard to get sufficient marks for that, but also partly because he was getting really good marks in science subjects, including biology. How someone can get good marks in high school biology and not understand how diseases work remains a mystery to me this day. I have considered this matter over the last 35 years, and I still can't work it out. Seriously, how did you think this was gonna happen? How do you think colds happen? Because, like, colds or flu is also brought on by viruses. Like, how do you get so confused? But, like, generally, he seems like he isn't all that stupid. And, like, he can actually at least memorize things well to do well on exams, because that's a lot of times what school is. But he manages to do that, but still not understand a single thing. Which just shows us that good grades aren't everything. You can be great in school and not understand anything really, because apparently he doesn't. I am impressed. Like, listen, whether your parents are doctors or not, shouldn't you have learned this in school? That's not how viruses work. This is giving medieval times, we're gonna cure everything with leeches because they suck the bad blood out of you. It's giving that, of like trying to cure everything with that, really, right? Because they have their place, sure, but trying to cure everything with leeches seems just as smart as curing everything with jacking off somewhere to get rid of the virus. Like, if that would work, people would definitely cure themselves of it. Recent occurrence. This was suggested to me via a comment on a different post that y'all would love this story, so here I am to reshare it. I have a Kevin I work with who I would call dumber than a sack of hammers, but that would be rude to the hammers. Fairly recently at work, Kevin was approached by a customer and asked what aisle tampons are in. Not only did he not know what they are, mind you, he has multiple sisters and a mom is still in the home, but he proceeded to approach a teenage girl and her dad to ask what tampons are and how to use them. To make matters better, or worse, I should also mention that he thought tampons are a type of soap. I have more stories of this particular Kevin if y'all are interested in hearing them. This one just happened to be my favorite at the moment. Again, this is why sex ed classes in school are important. I mean, to be fair, kind of the safe sex part of it and just generally understanding how human biology works. More important, but part of what human biology is periods and different ways to deal with one's period, which would have been helpful to this guy because apparently his parents, or like, I guess as a sister you wouldn't want to like necessarily talk about it with your brother. Like I can see how that would be too awkward for you, but chances are they have tampons somewhere in the bathroom. Like, you don't hide those inside your own home. That's just weird, right? But how did he either just... Is American sex ed really this bad? Because apparently it is. It really is. But it keeps shocking me somehow. My coworker's a Kevina. Let's keep this short and simple. For every $100 or $50 at my work, we run it through a special safe. If it's a fraudulent, we claim we don't have money for change, even if we do. If it's real, we dish out the change. On to the story. I was working with Kevina and the situation went like this. Kevina, when someone pays with a $50 bill or higher, we need to verify it. As in, pass it through the safe is practice. Oh no, I typed it in the computer, I was just giving her change. I internally facepalm, but I gave up. It was a real 50 by the way, so it didn't matter. Later, I got a 50 myself and decided to call her over. What's the matter? Do you need change for the 50? No, Kevina, I'm showing you what I meant when I said you need to process it first. So you have enough for the change? Yes, Kevina, yes I do. I mean, officially, so you have enough for change, right? I mean, it kind of makes sense. Right, but I think we all know what it's like dealing with coworkers like this. That's the problem. Like, no matter how many times you try to explaining it to them, they don't really like fully seem to grasp it and don't really know what you're trying to explain to them even really, because she's just like, oh, you're just typing it in so you know how much change to give, right? No, that's not it. But like, it seems like she's already working there, right? Don't you have like an onboarding or like a learning period where they're being supervised the entire time to teach them how everything works, right? Because, well, they need to know how everything works. Did someone just give up on that with her? Because I can see why, but this is fun. It's really fun. Kevin and the party. Kevin, my ex-fiance, told me one Friday afternoon after work that we had a 21st birthday to attend that night. We both had just finished up long shifts at our work and he was getting dressed in jeans and a polo top. I just quickly brushed my hair and threw on some jeggings and a knit top and we jumped into the car to head off. I told him we can't just go empty-handed, so we stopped to buy a bottle of wine and a bunch of flowers on the way. As we were getting closer, he asked me to get the invite out of the glove box and tell him the address. It was at this point that I saw the very fancy invite which stated that the dress code was formal. I said, hey, this invite says the dress code is formal. Kevin, yeah, I saw that. Me, we're not dressed for the party, we need to go back home and change. Kevin, no, we're fine, we're almost there. He doesn't listen to me. He insists that what we're wearing is fine, it's just a birthday party. He also tells me that he got the invite almost 2 months prior and has been meaning to tell me about it earlier, but forgot. Long story short, we arrive at the venue, a very fancy ballroom type venue, in a prestigious club. I am the only girl not in a stunning floor-length gown, and he's the only man not in a tuxedo. I was mortified and kept apologizing. Kevin did not seem fazed at all. A few weeks later, I heard that Kevin has told people that I never told him it was a formal event, and that is why we turned up dressed casually. Okay, as if the actual forgetting for 2 months that you have an invite isn't bad enough, right? Like, she didn't even know a party was happening, so she didn't even have the chance to ask questions like, where is it, whose birthday is it, like, do we need to get a gift? She didn't know until you basically had to leave. And if that isn't bad enough, because yeah, if someone just says, oh yeah, it's a birthday party we need to go to, obviously you're not gonna go like super fancy dress. But bro, if you're gonna go in and be like, hey, we need to go to a birthday party, I brought in the invite, at least like take the invite inside at that point, so you have some time to react. You might be a bit late if you have to like gather together an actual like outfit appropriate, but what are you doing? But if that wasn't bad enough, right, the absolute just stupidness, why would you put it in the glove department? Just throw it somewhere in the car or so. Maybe she'll see the envelope at least. But if that wasn't bad enough, no, you decide to lie about it and be like, no, but it wasn't my fault, even though it really entirely was. It was her fault. Like, she hid the envelope from me. Like, she didn't tell me. Trust me, most women, I know, kind of stereotyping right now, but most women aren't that uncaring that they would show up underdressed, right? Because women, from the time they grow up, constantly get pressured to put in an effort and look pretty. Most women aren't gonna just show up underdressed. So I'm not sure people actually believed you, that it was her fault, not yours, but I'm really hoping they didn't, because you're kind of an asshole. Coaching Kevina. I used to be a swim coach, and I always got stuck with the little kids ages 7 to 10. The hardest part seemed to be keeping their heads above the water so they could listen to the instructions. This was pretty hard when I had 6 kids to a lane and we were in the deep end. One day, while I was coaching at the deep end, I noticed Kevina kept going underwater and making faces at me. I sent the other kids off and had her go last so I could tell her, in private, to pay attention and keep her head above the water when I'm talking. She nodded her head and continued swimming. Once we made it back to the deep end and I started talking, she went underwater and flipped me the bird. She came up and started laughing over me and I paused. Everyone looked at her and she said, "He'll never know what I was doing." Continuing her laughter, I snapped back with, "I can see what everyone does underwater, water is see-through." Addressing the whole group, some kids laughed and Kevina stopped. Apparently, Kevina thought water was only see-through if you were in it. How do you think that? Like, even when you're going into the water, you can see into the water. You can see the other people swimming around in it. You can see the floor if no one is in it. Why would you think they can't see you if you're in the water? I mean, kids do some stupid things because a lot of things they haven't had the time to learn yet, which is normal. But examples like these baffle me because you go to the pool, you can look into the pool, you can see the bottom of the pool, you can see the other people swimming around. How do you think someone isn't able to see you if they're not in the water? How did you get to this conclusion? Or were you only trying to save your ass and just thought he wouldn't pay attention because he's like focusing on all the other people? Like, why? Just why and how, really? Kevin gets banned from using tools. When I was in high school, freshman year 98-99, I had woodworking class. We had several stations and workbenches to do our work at. One of them was a 20-inch bandsaw. For those who don't know what a bandsaw is, it's a loop of metal with saw teeth on the edge that gets spun at very high speeds onto wheels. The teeth always face down and the loop comes back up through the part that supports the upper wheel. In first period one day, Kevin didn't know if the band was spinning or not, and he decided to test it with his thumb. The band was spinning. He had to go to the hospital and get stitches. Came back later in the day, asked the teacher if he could stay a bit late to make up the time he lost. Teacher agreed. Kevin went back to the bandsaw, tested it with his other thumb, and had to go back to the hospital for another set of stitches. He wasn't allowed near anything other than sandpaper for the rest of the semester. I think that might have been the safest course of action, really, but again, you can see that. Like, if you can clearly see the two thingies on the side of the saw, that means it's standing still. If you can't see anything from the side, if it just looks like a spinning circle, that means it's spinning. And also, wouldn't you hear it? Like, equipment like this always makes some noise. Like, I know how loud a class of students can be, but that's a very different noise than, like, equipment like again, how did you come to the idea of trying to test it with your thumb, and if almost cutting off one thumb wasn't bad enough, you decide to do it a second time on the same day? I feel really sorry for the poor doctors or nurses who had to sew your thumb up, right? Because sure, they've seen worse things, but to do it once, okay, right? Maybe you lied about what happened. But then you come back again a couple hours later, it's still probably the same people on shift, and they have to sew up your other thumb because you were so stupid twice in one day. It's either gonna be really funny to them or really annoying, because they probably have enough shit to do anyways, right? But you decide to be smart and almost cut off your other thumb as well. So proud. Kevin's emergency. Kevin had to leave work to take his girlfriend to the emergency room. His girlfriend works here also. He did not take her or even tell her he was leaving. And actually, I included comments. Hey, it's possible Kevin has another girlfriend. Okay, the best part about this story is no matter how you interpret it, Kevin is still a freaking idiot. Yeah, like, either he was really stupid and wanted an excuse to get out of work, to go home and sleep or play video games or whatever. He has actually like a family emergency, in which case it's just stupid to lie. Just say, hey, it's a family emergency. This member of my family had to go to the hospital and I need to be there. Whatever, in this case, it's just stupid to lie. And if you're gonna use your girlfriend as an excuse, at least take her. And if you don't, because you have another girlfriend that you want to go see, maybe use a different excuse next time, because this is just amazing. At least pull the, oh, I am sick, I have headaches, I have migraines, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Anything. Anything is better than using your girlfriend as an excuse if she also works there. Like, if she doesn't work at your company, you can say, oh yeah, I have to like pick her up and drive her to the hospital or whatever. Sure, but this is just very well thought out. I think I'm a Kevina. My country is a bunch of islands. In my late teens, I tried to pat a seal because I thought they were cute sea doggos. It chased me back to the car. I think I almost died, lol. I didn't know what continents were until I was 27. Got fired from my last job as a cook because I kept forgetting to turn the deep fryers off overnight. I can't drive because I keep getting the accelerator and brake confused and just crash. I mean, people say like that realizing something about yourself is the first step to fix it, but I feel like there are a lot of people who do equally not smart things, probably, who don't even realize what they're doing, or don't realize that most people will probably look at them and think that what they're doing is stupid, that they can't seem to get the hang of it. I think your brain functions a little bit differently, really, but still, at least you know, and you can kind of like laugh about yourself a little bit. Like, I know 27 is late to realize what continents are, but yeah, don't pet wild animals. I know they basically are cutesy dolls, right? They kind of act very puppy-like sometimes, but don't pet wild animals. Maybe. You know, the Kevin who won't leave. This is a Kevin I've known for a very long time. He's one of the most clueless people I have ever met. And as much as I'd love to never have anything to do with him, he just won't leave. Kevin accidentally swallowed a quarter while he was sucking on it. He was 24. His family only found out a month later when it showed up on a CT scan while he was in hospital for something unrelated. Kevin once told his very devout grandmother he loved Jesus so much he would masturbate for him. Years later, he admitted he thought it meant asphyxiate at the time. Kevin tried to walk down a bowling lane to see what pins felt like and ended up breaking his chin open. Kevin, for whatever reason, thought it was a good idea to cover his family's entire kitchen in baby powder. He never assumed he would get in trouble for it, or that he and his family would have to move out of the house for a few days. Kevin asked Santa for a lump of coal one year just to see what it was like. He lost the coal not long after he opened it. Kevin was in a chat room and told a user he had never seen in person that he had a crush on her, much to the bemusement of the others in the chat. When said user asked him how he could be in love with a degenerate piece of shit, Kevin replied that he was also a degenerate, listed several examples of his degeneracy, and was promptly laughed at and kicked out of the chat room. Kevin had an obsession with the Pegasus from the Tree Star movie logo. He hung a poster of it in his room and made any newcomers to his room pet it. Kevin stayed in his room alone a lot. Usually people closed the bathroom door and then pulled down their pants. Unfortunately, Kevin was just the opposite for a very long time. Kevin overheard from a neighbor that some in the neighborhood was growing pot. Being ever the vigilante, Kevin immediately notified the police, pointed the squad car in the direction he thought the pot farmer was, and took it upon himself to go door to door and interrogate every household on his block to see if they were growing weed. This led to Kevin's grandfather receiving a call from the police that they had received reports from numerous people of a stoned-looking teenager wandering around the neighborhood and cruising for a hit. Kevin got in a heap of trouble that day. Kevin knocked a teapot off a store shelf directly in front of an employee. Kevin routinely panicked when he was younger because he had read in a book that children can hear higher sounds than adults. He assumed this meant that all sounds would lower in pitch when he had puberty, leading to everything sounding like a low-pitched drone. I'm sure I'll come in with more later, but I think this will suffice for the fast volume. Again, I just kinda have to question what is going on in these people's head? Like, how do you not think? Like, on one hand, he's like, no, smoking weed is bad. I'm gonna go around without thinking about that I might seem like I'm super stoned and just looking for someone to sell weed to me. And just like, ask everyone if they're growing weed. You better not be growing weed. Kinda, like, you gotta recognize what that sounds like, right? If you just ring random people's doorbells, even if they know you because you grew up in the same neighborhood, like. But then a couple years later, probably in a chat room, they'd be like, oh no, but I'm such a degenerate, right? I did all these things, and probably just making up things about your probably kind of non-existent sex life, and it baffles me, really. Because, like I said, we all have moments where we maybe just like don't think and then just say something incredibly stupid. But this seems a little different, really. This seems really different. Anyways, I feel like that's a good place to end it, because otherwise I feel like I'm maybe potentially gonna lose my mind, and I made tea before this video and it's probably getting cold. So I'm gonna leave you here with hopefully some sort of realization that you might not be the smartest person in a room, but you at least didn't saw both of your thumbs off on the same day, you know? I guess. But anyways, I'm gonna go drink my tea. If you're not hydrated yet, maybe consider drinking something too, and I'll be back in a few days with my next video.